The fire crackled softly as the group of campers sat around it, finishing off the last of their marshmallows. The night air was cool, crisp, and filled with the comforting sounds of the forest, chirping crickets, rustling leaves, and the occasional hoot of an owl. All right, I think we're set for the night. Tomorrow's hike is going to be a long one, so let's get some sleep. I'll take first watch. The others nodded, one by one retreating into their tents. It was their third night in the wilderness, and so far, things had been going smoothly. Maya sat by the fire listening to the forest breathe. The trees swayed gently, whispering secrets to one another. She kept her flashlight close, occasionally scanning the campsite. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Their food was safely packed in a cooler, sealed shut with a heavy-duty latch to keep animals out. An hour passed, then another. Feeling her eyelids growing heavy, Maya stood up and stretched. She made a quick round of the campsite, checking on the supplies before nudging Derek awake for his turn at watch duty. He grumbled but sat up, rubbing his eyes. Maya crawled into her sleeping bag and drifted off almost instantly. When morning came, the first thing they noticed was the silence. Not the usual peaceful quiet of the woods, but an eerie stillness. The birds weren't singing. The wind wasn't rustling. Something was off. Then Jake cursed loudly. Everyone turned to see him standing by the food cooler, the lid flung open, the contents completely gone. Every single item, granola bars, trail mix, canned beans, dried fruits, had vanished. The only thing left was the empty cooler sitting there as if nothing had happened. "What the hell?" Derek exclaimed. "It's all gone." "Everything," Jake said in disbelief. Maya asked, Did an animal get into it?" "No way," Lisa replied. "That thing was locked up tight. And even if something did get in, there'd be a mess. Scattered wrappers, something. This looks like it was just taken." "Maybe a bear?" Derek suggested. Maya countered, "There'd be tracks, claw marks, torn fabric, something. No footprints." "Nothing," Lisa noted. That was the detail that sent a shiver down everyone's spine. The forest floor was soft, a mix of dirt and leaves that held impressions well. If anything, human or animal, had come into their campsite, there should have been signs. But there weren't. The ground was undisturbed. It was as if the food had simply vanished. "All right, let's not freak out. We can ration what snacks we have in our packs and cut the trip short, but how did it happen?" No one had an answer. They spent the morning searching the area, looking for any clues, disturbed bushes, claw marks, anything. But the more they searched, the stranger it seemed. It was as if nothing had come through their campsite at all. By midday, the group decided to pack up and head back. They had enough energy bars and water to last them through the hike to their car, but the mood was heavy with unease. As they moved through the forest, Lisa kept glancing behind her. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. They hiked for hours, their usual chatter replaced by silence. The trees loomed taller than before, their branches stretching toward the sky like skeletal fingers. The path seemed darker, the air heavier. Then, Maya stopped abruptly. "Did you hear that?" The others froze. A sound, faint, distant, echoed through the trees. A whisper almost. Not the wind, not an animal. It was something else. They hurried their pace. The sound faded, but the uneasy feeling remained. When they finally reached their car, the relief was palpable. They tossed their bags inside, double-checked they hadn't left anything behind, and piled in. As Jake started the engine, Maya glanced back at the trailhead. There, standing just beyond the tree line, was a figure. It was too far to make out details, just a silhouette, motionless, watching. Jake didn't ask questions. The tires kicked up dust as they sped away, leaving the forest behind. No one spoke for a long time. They never figured out who or what had taken their food, and deep down, none of them wanted to know. As they drove away from the campsite, the car fell into an eerie silence. The only sound was the steady hum of the tires on the winding forest road. Each of them stared out the window, lost in thought, trying to make sense of what had happened. Maya's hands were clenched tightly in her lap. That figure, standing motionless at the tree line, was burned into her mind. She hadn't said anything to the others, unsure if they had seen it too. Derek broke the silence. "We should report this." Jake responded. "To who?" "The police. And tell them what? That our food disappeared without a trace?" Lisa added, "Yeah. And then they'll ask us how we know it was stolen. We have no evidence. No tracks, no signs of a break-in, just a bad feeling." Derek insisted, "We have to tell someone. Maybe a ranger?" Maya finally spoke. "Something was watching us." Maya hesitated, then said, "When we were leaving, at the trailhead, there was something standing there." Lisa's eyes widened. "You saw it too?" Maya nodded. "Wait, you saw it?" Lisa admitted. "I didn't say anything because I thought I was imagining it. It was just standing there watching us." "All right, now I really don't like this. Maybe it was just another hiker." "Then why wouldn't they say anything? Why would they just stand there?" No one had an answer. By the time they reached the small town at the edge of the forest, dusk had begun to settle in. They stopped at a local diner, mostly because none of them wanted to be alone in a motel room just yet. The place was quiet, only a few scattered customers finishing up their meals. They ordered food, but none of them had much of an appetite. Lisa kept glancing toward the windows. Derek absent-mindedly traced patterns on the table. After a few minutes, a man in a park ranger's uniform walked in. He greeted the waitress with a nod and took a seat at the counter. "Should we tell him? It's worth a shot." They approached the ranger, who glanced up from his coffee. He was in his 50s, with weathered skin and sharp eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. His name tag read, Ranger Holt. "Something I can help you with?" Maya and Lisa explained the missing food and the figure to Ranger Holt. "Maya, we were camping in the woods, near Pine Hollow." Ranger Holt, "Yeah?" "Lisa, our food disappeared last night, completely gone. But there were no tracks, nothing, like it just vanished." The ranger didn't speak for a long moment, then he took another sip of coffee. Ranger Holt listened intently, his expression shifting. Ranger Holt, "You kids pack up and leave after that?" They nodded. Ranger Holt, "See anything strange on your way out?" Maya, "There was something, watching us, just standing there at the tree line." For the first time, Holt's expression shifted, a flicker of something. Concern? Recognition? Ranger Holt warned the group about the silent ones. Ranger Holt, "You didn't go back, did you?" Jake, "No, why?" Ranger Holt, "You did the right thing leaving. There's something out there. Has been for a long time." Derek, "Something what?" "You ever hear of the silent ones?" "No, most people haven't, but the old-timers around here talk about them. Not quite human, not quite anything. They don't leave tracks, they don't make a sound, but they watch." "You're messing with us, right? Go back if you want, but if I were you, I wouldn't." The group left the diner without another word. That night, none of them slept well, and none of them ever went back to Pine Hollow. Not after what they saw, not after what they felt. And especially not after waking up the next morning to find a single, untouched granola bar sitting outside their motel door. No footprints, no signs of who or what left it. Just the quiet confirmation that they had been followed, that they were still being watched.